Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of social studies class on Thursday Today, we are going to be continuing on our lessons of the Reconstruction era after the Civil War, of how the country was going to be rebuilt and reconstructed. This is our number four last from the last lesson that we're actually going to have together. In four more lessons, the social studies for 8th grade is done. So I hope you take advantage of this lesson as an important opportunity to build connections, because again, how we rebuild the country after coronavirus is going to be very similar kind of like issues with how we rebuild the country after the Civil War with Reconstruction. It may be different issues, but again, the topic of like whose perspectives are heard, who's being listened to, who's being ignored, and kind of like how we're working together in society is really going to be the same issues of how we rebuild after coronavirus. So today, what we are going to be looking at in our history of Reconstruction is the kind of major civil rights, like rights for people, for equality and justice, to make sure you're treated just the same as everybody else in society, the major actual kind of wins or positive things that happened from Reconstruction. And specifically, this is the most important part of the Constitution of the United States that we're going to look at, which is a new amendment that was created or added to the Constitution right after the Civil War during Reconstruction. And this is the 14th Amendment of the United States. So our aim is historians will be able to, in writing, explain the impact of the 14th Amendment and civil rights in the United States. Some of us might have heard of like civil rights with like the civil rights movement, which is very important, and if not like one of the major important issues and times in US history where people finally stood up for their rights and demanded equality and justice and said that it's not okay to be treated different or less than somebody else just because of your gender, race, class, all these issues, to create more equality and justice in society. And as we've been looking at in Reconstruction, there was a big push for these civil rights right after the Civil War, saying people should be treated equally with justice and fairness and all these kind of things America says it wants to stand for. But as we've kind of seen, unfortunately, the reality is that there were a lot of barriers and obstacles that people faced. And sometimes, even though slavery was over, it didn't mean that equality and justice was something that came automatically to people, and it still had to be fought for. And we're going to build a connection in our lesson too about how the 14th Amendment and this kind of beginning of push for civil rights connects to the push for civil rights in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. And specifically, we're going to, at the end of the lesson, look at a major civil rights win for Mexican Americans that connects directly to the 14th Amendment, which was part of Reconstruction. So again, we are going to kind of skip through history in this lesson. We're going to start with Reconstruction, and then we're going to look at how this made for civil rights gains in schools for Mexican Americans and other racial minorities in the 1940s and 50s. And then we're going to connect to today, how this matters for the push for civil rights moving forward into the world in the future, which of course is going to be how we are all making choices about what the world and history will be like moving forward. So again, it's really important that you watch all of these videos because we're covering a lot of big overarching kind of ideas that aren't really easy to explain just through a reading. And I'm going to do my best to kind of try to summarize these for you with some videos. But make sure you do your best. Find a quote. And if you have any questions as you do this assignment, definitely let me know. Contact me. But again, just do your best. Read the text if you're confused again, and watch all the videos. And I hope you have a great lesson. I'll see you in the rest of the videos.